Everyone, I'm Tash, and today I'm with Rory. Hiya.
Hi, I'm Rory.
Hi. So, would you like to let us know a little bit about yourself and about your expertise within the wellness industry, please?
So I was born and raised in the northeast of Scotland, and I always had a deep interest in music and sound and the capacity for the body to heal itself. And I did a bit of psychology when I was younger, and I quickly acknowledged in myself that being like a therapist or going down the kind of counseling and psychological route wasn't for me due to analytics and the creative side never left me, so I ended up going through a bunch of different technical training to do with sound, and did quite a lot of music production and doing quite a lot of ambient music and things like that. And I got into meditation and yoga and sort of self-help practices, and I read a lot. And about 4 years ago, all of these things married up in my life
Hmm.
um, after I did my dissertation on therapeutic sound and sound healing and what that does subjectively and objectively. So after going through a lot of research and doing a bit of case studies, I found a woman in the borders of Scotland, and she did a course, but she also did a big event, and so she wanted a sound technician. So I ended up doing a bit of collaboration with her in order to
Hmm.
get trained up delivering therapeutic sound. So as I say, that was about 4 years ago, and I've been building it up ever since, doing group work, one-to-one sessions, festivals, like
Oh,
bigger
cool.
events, and I've traveled a lot doing it also. So I've kind of become a bit of a nomad, getting in touch with different venues around the country, and organizing dates, and then I'll just drive up and facilitate.
That
So
sounds
I've got
amazing.
a monthly event in Glasgow. It's become a bi-monthly now, so sorry, it's become every fortnightly event
Yep.
in a lovely yoga studio, and I'm still branching out. So I'm starting to do a monthly one in the northeast of Scotland, and I'm gonna do a few more next month up here as well. So
Cool. Yeah, that sounds really interesting, and I like to hear your progression there, and it all kind of links in to create and develop you as a person and your professional aspect to you right now. So with sound, what do you do? What instruments do you use?
So, in terms of the sound bath experience that I offer, I tend to orientate around Himalayan singing bowls. I don't use crystal bowls, which are made out of silicon and are just cast from machine, and generally made in China. I use Himalayan singing bowls, which are made out of 7 different metals:
Oh, cool.
tin, mercury, copper, gold, lead, and silver. And
Hmm.
this gives a really unique resonance. And so the weaving of these different instruments between each other creates a beating sound. So if you've got one tone coming out of a bowl with all of its different overtones, and then you introduce a second tone, there's like a kind of sympathetic beating between the two. This marries up your brain waves, allowing you to like slow down into a deeper state of consciousness. I weave in and out chimes, different percussive elements, rain sticks and gongs, a bit of skin, drums, and especially my voice. The oldest healing instrument in the world is the voice, probably next to the drum. And the voice seems to just really marry up the emotional and the sympathetic when it comes to people that are experiencing and receiving therapeutic sound. So while on a kind of scientifically measurable level, the bowls are changing your brain
Hmm.
waves, the the kind of support or the stage or the foundation that is created with the voice, weaving it all together, really allows people to immerse themselves into the experience. And
I love
ultimately,
that.
what's happening during a sound bath is that they are allowing themselves to subside from quite an active and responsive and reactive state of consciousness that we're often found to be required to operate within in order to meet our goals, meet our tasks, and do what society expects of us. And obviously, all in good faith, we do that. But ultimately, the body heals when it's resting, and it activates all these different parts of its immune system, the nervous system, different hormones come up. So the sound healing experience is really about allowing that pause, that rest, and facilitating the body to kind of facilitate its own healing
Mm.
properties.
Yeah, I love all that, and I have actually experienced sound healing, like gong. So I imagine they're relatively similar, and yeah, it's a
Mhm.
very lovely, peaceful experience. With your voice that you mentioned, that's really interesting. Is that because is it called tuning when you're like a that I might be
Oh,
totally wrong.
toning.
Toning, sorry, toning. Is that the
Mm.
kind, or how? What is the voice? Does that even make sense of a question? What kind of
Yeah.
vocals are you using?
I use quite a varied amount of vocal techniques, from
Okay.
like humming for very soft stuff, um, to like mantra work
Mm.
using like kind of sacred syllables. They've worked out on cymatics, when you have a visual representation of sound waves through a medium, like on sand.
Oh
These
yeah,
root syllables and mantras actually create sacred geometry
I
in
know.
that.
It's insane, isn't it?
Um, and then overtone singing, which is like the toning, kind of going like your
Oh, cool.
that actually came second. I taught myself Tibetan and Mongolian throat singing first, out of interest, and then I recognized that the overtones were naturally coming through. And when I was doing my sound therapy training, we did a whole workshop on toning, and
Mm.
I had a super deep experience. We were basically sitting in a chair, and everyone that was learning was toning and walking in a circle. And then you get a tap on the shoulder when to get up and join. So I've done a couple of workshops like that myself, and allowed that ability to overtone out of people. Also, in several books, it's the overtones in the harmonic scale. So basically, you've got a root note, and then you've got like your kind of dominant so you got your fundamental frequency, and
Mm.
then you've got all of these different overtones that come through it. And generally, that's just created by the shape of the sound, the thing that's creating the sound. Like if you had a big pipe and you
Yep.
dinged it, you hear all these different tones and frequencies coming through it just based on the shape of the pipe. So what we're doing in our like esophagus or larynx, and then by like really relaxing down, is you're creating different shapes, and you're moving the
Mm.
tongue and the muscles in the face to kind of create these different overtones. And they do have a very like strong, poignant impact on the body, measurable, because it is so subjective. Everyone has a different emotional response.
Mm.
But
Ah, okay.
but
What
I'll often
would
use healing mantras as well.
yeah, I love all that. It's really interesting. What would people expect then? Or like what would they benefit? How would they benefit? I know you just said everyone kind of reacts differently. So I'm assuming like calming, maybe I don't know, I'm putting words in your mouth now. What are the like benefits?
So the way I like to do a sound bath is that there'll be a kind of theme, whether it's like opening the heart, for example. So if we run with that example, we would be visualizing a time in our lives where we have felt that heart opening spontaneously. It could be like your first crush in school, taking interest in what pencil case that you bought, or whatever it is, and you just have this butterfly feeling, and it's really about locking into that, and then engaging the breath in a very deep diaphragmatic way, which
Mm-hmm.
naturally stills the nervous system. And sometimes people are yawning, and they're like they have this reset because they come out of a busy day into the session, and then it'll be like it can either be this guided breath work with the intention, and then the ability to then relax in comfort and just allow the sounds to wash around them, and that'll hold them in a sort of suspended state, which definitely promotes deep relaxation, as the body feels heavier and you feel sinking into the floor. And there might be emotional content that will arise. This could be soothing, or it could be quite jarring. And generally, the sounds are neutral and energy is neutral. So we come from a place of judgment when we experience things as good or bad. And by continuing to breathe, we are essentially accepting and moving through this. And so our expectation can our expectation of the session can really define our experience of it. So
Mm.
I always say that it's best to come in with it's like a sonic spa, and you're just letting it all wash over you. And if you find a sound that you're actually like finding discomforting, often it's because it's creating a memory, or like there's an energetic blockage within you, and that sound is allowing a confrontation of that. And you'll
Okay.
find through almost like pendulating between the comfort in your body and my work as a sound therapist, weaving the sounds back to a place of kind of like expected resolve. We allow the person to go into areas of discomfort and then back out into ease. This
Mm,
builds resilience, but it can also allow like certain traumatic, uh, like trauma is not what happened to you, but it's how the body remembers. And it
hmm.
can be anything, and it's all relative. Like what traumatizes one person doesn't traumatize the next person, or it affects them a different way. So the people that are experiencing a sound bath from a place of openness can often find that energetic regions of their body that they've been ignoring will come into their focus, into their awareness. And by bringing soft attention and also knowing that they're held in a space, and this is where a lot of the intuition and kind of skill comes into, because anyone can ding the bowls and make sounds. There's obviously a lot of different techniques that you can use that aren't
Hmm.
necessarily understood, but unless you do training. But the skill really comes from allowing the my intuition to be online when I'm seeing people processing the sounds and how their bodies are moving and what.
Okay.
So you there's that side of it, and then there's a bunch of different health benefits. I've had people report that they've had chronic pain for 20 years. They're off all of their medication. They've been trying everything. And after my sound bath, they just slept like a baby the next night. And then the 3 nights afterwards, and they said they felt like there was like Reiki, like energy going through their body, and they did not feel any pain. And she was like, I'm hooked. When's the next one?
Mm.
Um,
Yeah, it's amazing. How
but
often should you experience attend a sound bath then? What would
I
you
think it
recommend?
depends on the life that you live. If you have quite a chilled out, generally structured, stable existence, you might
Hmm.
not feel the need. Um, but equally, you can go for it as a relaxation experience just to deepen into yourself. I call
Yeah.
my kind of like general sound bath experience deepening. That's the name I've given it, and that's sort of like my flagship sound bath, where I encourage people to kind of go within themselves and have an introspective state. So you can either use it as like a form of meditation support. You can use it as a practice to enhance your well-being, or you can use it for um, symptomatic alleviation. So if people
Hmm.
have pain and they find that
Yeah.
these vibrations work for them, if they have insomnia and they find they sleep deeper afterwards, if they have anxiety or depression and they find
Mm.
themselves much more balanced afterwards, that can be a reason. So I feel like, well, the answer to that is subjective. People have their own reasons for attending a sound bath, and that will
Yeah.
determine how much they need.
Yeah.
But I don't think you can necessarily do too much of it as long as you do a bit of self-care. But I always walk people through what that looks like,
Okay. Yeah.
and I'm
So
always
that
available
yeah,
afterwards.
that sounds beautiful. So how has sound healing and sound baths, how's it impacted your life?
Well, it's quite a big question actually, because I started from a kind of scientific place where I was writing my dissertation on it. I was like, well, I have to experience one of these things, and I had such a huge wash of visions and memories and
Yeah.
experiences. Because when you go from like your alpha to theta wavelength, your brainwave frequency is going down, you can often experience synesthesia where like different senses are giving data from other inputs. So you could like smell, color, like sight, you can
Ah.
hear feelings. It doesn't make any sense when you say it, but you'll have such a interplay of consciousness that for me it's not only like broadened my like understanding of holding space and being like a facilitator in terms of guiding people through challenging emotions, creating safety, and delivering like a healing experience for people, but it's always led me towards the next step in my life whenever I've done it. So in
Hmm.
some sound baths I've had like very fragmented visions of something, and then months will pass by and it'll make more and more sense. And I'll have meetings with different people, or I'll go and do different experiences with delivering the sound, and things will fall into place. So I feel like it's part of my mission now is to deliver therapeutic sound and
Hmm.
sound healing and deepen that within myself. I always loved this expression that you teach what you want to learn.
Yeah, and you're always
There's
learning
been a
too.
bit of an unfoldment in terms of myself, my own journey of inner understanding, and also about who I am and what my purpose is here, what space I hold.
And that's really helped you with that. Oh,
Yeah,
that's
and a
good.
lot of people have had different experiences that have really helped them from my sound baths. Um,
I
whether
can
it's been
tell.
like just physical alleviation of pain and problems that they're experiencing, or whether it's de-patterning and understanding themselves, whether it's been like seeing past lives and reconciling parts of their own existence that they never really understood, or whether it's simply just been having like an alcohol-free event that they can meet like-minded people at. Like
Yeah,
that can be
totally.
huge as well, you know?
Yeah. Where do you hold these? Do you do them online, in person? Where are they?
So I've experimented doing them online, and I much prefer doing them in person, but they certainly work online. It's just that you don't have the vibrational quality of the instruments going through your body, and that you just
Mm,
headphones. You can
hmm.
definitely go into a deep state of meditation. So yeah, online, and I do them in Glasgow, Edinburgh, and in the northeast of Scotland. So I
Cool.
do them in Nairn, town just south of Inverness, Fintorn, which is a foundation there. I'm going to start doing them in Aberdeenshire and maybe on the west coast as well.
Cool. Fab. Well, thank you so much, Rory, for your time. It was so interesting. I feel like I've gained quite a lot of knowledge about that. So thank you so much. And if
Mm.
you're interested in any sound experiences, then please seek out Rory on We Offer Wellness. Thank you.